A new moon in Gemini, Monday, May 26, 8:02 p.m. Pacific time. A new narrative, a blank page. Hello, my name is Eliane-Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot reader, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about this very light, airy, expressive new moon in Gemini that many astrologers are calling their favorite new moon cycle of all of 2025. And the new moon cycle, even though the new moon is on the 26th, tells a story all the way until the next new moon, June 25th. So, before I get to the translation, I just want to say, if you are watching this on Instagram, I'm only going to post the first 3 minutes here. The entire video will be available on my YouTube channel, Eliane-Nicole. My YouTube channel is my name, Eliane-Nicole. Please find me there. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure, there's a link in the bio of the Instagram to get to the YouTube. There's also a link in the bio of the Instagram to just go to my calendar and book a reading with me directly. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Please like, please comment, please share. It helps me in the algorithm and to grow my business and my community and my channel. And it puts me in a position to continue to give these free astrological offerings. If you are watching this on Instagram, please make sure that you are following astrology.tarot.Eliane-Nicole. Please like, please comment, please share. It's free for you and very helpful for me. And now, without further ado, I'm going to get into the translation of this very auspicious new moon in Gemini. And yes, this new moon is a favorite of many astrologers, including myself, this year of all of the new moon cycles. New moons are always seed planting points. We are planting seeds at new moons, whether we realize it or not. So we might as well do it with some intention. And from a cosmic perspective, planting seeds for the season of Gemini with the topics of the house that falls in our chart is what is most optimally supported in, for our own personal astrology. So if you don't know which house Gemini rules in your chart, contact me for a reading. And I would be happy to do your chart. Everyone should have their chart done at least once in their life. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. I would love to read with you, read for you. Again, in YouTube, there's a link in the description below to book a reading with me. But of course, Geminis, this is your new moon. You are going to feel this new moon the strongest possibly. Anyone who has Gemini sun, moon, rising, midheaven, IC, even Venus, Mercury, or Mars in Gemini, this is going to be a personal new moon for you. And then for Aquarius and Libra, I think Aquarius and Libras are going to love it. It's going to trine your placements. For people with planets in the early degrees of Libra, this new moon you're going to have a grand trine with Pluto and the moon. So wonderful for people with early degree Libra placements. Maybe more challenging for people who have, early degree mutable placements, like maybe Virgo or Pisces. But it's still, there's just so many benevolent aspects. I just think in general, the vibes are good. I think that we're getting to a point in the year, it looks like, from the energy of this new moon and what it tells about the entire lunar cycle taking us through from May 26th to June 25th. This is a much lighter time of the year. Things are lightening up. People are having fun. People are, this is a very social time. This is a time of lots of exciting exchanges of ideas and information. I think that this is a time where we're starting to see some of the benefits of all the technological advances, where I think lately, the past few months, as Pluto has entered Aquarius, there's been a lot of collective focus on the fears around things like technological progress or robots or, AI or, space travel and some of these kind of Pluto and Aquarius themes. But with this new moon in Gemini trining Pluto and Aquarius, I think this is a time where a lot of people may be learning about, for the first time, some of the many, magnitude of great things that are coming our way, to the conveniences of our life as well as to the well-being of humanity, from things like technology and AI and robots and space travel and all of the things that we have been kind of more having a lot of fear around as a collective. This Gemini new moon and the cycle that's unfolding are taking the lid off of that and showing us some of the bright sides as Pluto is moving backwards in Aquarius, doubling down on, the new world that is being built, but kind of letting us know we're still in a demolition phase. We haven't quite started rebuilding. We're still in demo phase, so yeah, all of that is kind of in the sky at this new moon. But so the new moon has several very positive aspects, and so it's a new moon in Gemini. So when we're talking about Gemini, we're talking about, curiosity, we're talking about self-expression, we're talking about storytelling, writing, learning, teaching. We're talking about friendships, siblings, cousins. We're talking about, sports that require two players, where there's an opponent, like tennis. It's a very Gemini sport. All of that is under the purview of Gemini. And so it's great to, to plant intentions around that. But then you look at what house it's in your chart, and then you bring that in with the Gemini themes, and that's how you make your own kind of specific new moon ritual. But in general, yeah, this new moon in Gemini is also one of the lightest summer, beginning of the summer, end of spring, heading into summer cycles that we have ever had. Because technically, even though a lot of people say that Memorial Day is the beginning of summer, technically, according to the universe and the sun and the moon and the stars, the summer solstice is the beginning of summer. And that's actually, June, around June 21st. I didn't look at the exact date it falls this year, but before I recorded right now. But it's around that, the summer solstice. 0 degrees Cancer is the beginning of summer. Gemini is a mutable sign, and mutable signs are about the deconstruction of one season in order for it to become the next season. And so mutable signs are considered the changeable signs, They're considered, they're very adaptable, they know how to pivot, they know how to change direction very easily, they know how to kind of assimilate themselves into whatever environment they're in. They can be fickle, they can be restless. And so this energy can be present around the new moon, but it's also, I wanted to talk about how, oh yes, this is the first time in 12 years that the new moon in Gemini doesn't square Neptune at some point before it moves to the next sign. This is the first time in 2 years the new moon in Gemini doesn't square Saturn. So there is this freedom, this new lightness of being and clarity that is happening in the Gemini house of our charts that I just love. It's just such astrological good news. And Gemini, I mean, Jupiter is still there in Gemini, moving forward with his eye on Cancer, heading towards Cancer, which is a whole nother story for a whole nother day, which is one of, my favorite transits of the year. And I think all astrologers concur, one of the more beautiful transits of the year. But yeah, in general, this summer, we're getting into, over the next couple of months, some of the best astrology of 2025. So it's a good time to just seize the moment and enjoy the day and be grateful for all of the good things in life and bask in them, because we don't always get these kinds of skies. And it doesn't mean that all the troubles of the world are over. I mean, Saturn is in Aries, for crying out loud. And even though for this particular new moon, Saturn is in a sextile to this new moon, Saturn, Neptune conjunction, sextile the new moon in Gemini. So this new moon is in a good relationship to that Saturn Neptune conjunction. And so at this new moon, we are there's an opportunity for us to see, talk about, read about, learn about, this is all the Gemini stuff. And by the way, Mercury just entered Gemini, so the moon's ruler is at home in its own sign. So there's this sense of mental clarity and able to really see things in a more clear way in this Gemini part of our house than we have in 12 years. So it really is a new vibe that's popping off at this time. And there's a lot of freedom here because it's air. And now that Saturn isn't holding it down and Neptune isn't creating fog, it's like this clear air in the Gemini sector of our chart. And we can just go anywhere and do anything and kind of create with our consciousness and our ideas and our conversations and our network. And so I just think it's a really exciting energy. This is definitely a writer's new moon. I call this new moon in the beginning, I called it a new narrative. And that can be literally, if you're writing something, whether it's a book, a screenplay, a poem, a song, or even if you're writing something for school, a thesis, a dissertation, an essay. But even if you're just wanting to write a new narrative of your life, everything is about narrative. And that's what Gemini knows. That's what the Gemini energy is always kind of here to teach us. Gemini is the storyteller. And this new moon is, it's a blank page. It's an opportunity to write a completely new narrative in that area of our chart, so of our life where Gemini inhabits in your chart. And again, if you don't know what that is, contact me for a reading, because this is an exciting energy where these winds are really, Gemini is air. These winds will support you in writing, if you're literally writing something that you want to publish and put out, but also, again, more metaphorically, rewriting some part of your life that needs a fresh perspective. And the control of the narrative is everything. I mean, we see that in the media and in the with the politicians and the various elections and the world politics, and even with celebrities who are managing their brands and their their public persona. The narrative is so important, and that's what this Gemini new moon is about. And what's so exciting about it is it's presenting an opportunity for a completely new narrative, unobstructed from any limitations or blocks or oppositions or negations or deceptions or confusion. And so I really encourage everybody to, even if you never normally do a new moon ritual, do a new moon ritual where you write out your Gemini new moon intentions. Again, this can be around anything that has to do with, you know, information, reading, writing, communications, speaking, listening, learning, you know, media, journalism, you know, but then there's also like siblings, cousins, neighbors, that element, friends, in some cases, your friends who are like family, you know. You can set intentions around those topics. And again, whatever house it's in your chart, you join to make it even more specific for you. The moon will be most personal for people with planets 3 degrees to 9 degrees Gemini, because it is perfecting a 6 minutes, 5 degrees Gemini. And anyone, yeah, I told you that it favors Aquarius, Libra. Aries and Leo will be getting a sextile to their sun. Aries, you have a little bit of a different energy if you're in the early degrees of Aries, because you're dealing with that Saturn, Neptune conjunction. Early degrees Aries people should definitely call me for a reading. Such a great time for a reading. Such an exciting new start in your life, like powerful new start. Not without its challenges though, but that's what it's so great to have astrology, because you can like really just see from a bird's eye view, you know. Anyway, yeah, in general though, for those signs, Aquarius, Libra, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, you know, the fire and air, this is such an inspired time. This is a time of inspired ideas and inspired action, and a lot of energy and brightness and stimulation and creativity and collaboration and networking and connecting. And yeah, again, this is some of, you know, and I'm not one of those like Pollyanna astrologers. I tell it like it is when stuff is rough, you know, I do. And these are some of the lighter cosmic waters, or cosmic currents, I should say, of the year. We're not in water anymore. In fact, we're out of the waters. We're out of the deep waters of Pisces. Neptune and Saturn have both moved out of the deep waters of Pisces into Aries. And that's why this is the first Gemini season in 12 years that the sun and the moon haven't had to aspect Neptune, and the first Gemini season in 2 years that the sun and the moon haven't had to aspect both Saturn and Neptune. So again, the lightest, airiest, most fun Gemini season, which, you know, leads us into the summer that we've had in like 12 years. Enjoy it, everybody. Have so much fun. I'm so excited. And this new moon is in my first house, so it's the most personal of houses. So I'm going to definitely have fun with it. But yeah, it's a good news moon, you know, it shows some good news. And again, when we're planting seeds at the new moon, we're planting seeds for the 2-week cycle that goes to the full moon of Sagittarius in 2 weeks. And then we're also planting 6-month cycle that goes to the full moon of Gemini in 6 months. In some cases, you know, we're planting for the month cycle to the next new moon, in some cases to the year cycle. And that's why new moons are so powerful, because they're planting points for all of these different cycles, like the 2-month cycle, the 30-day cycle, the year cycle, the 6-month I left out cycle, you know. So there's, you know, shorter term, medium term, and long term goals are being planted at this time. Whether we realize it or not, we're planting for moments that are going to be popping up at these different 2-week, you know, 1 month, 6 month. It's so fascinating once you, it's just like, it's all geometry and rhythm. It's just absolutely fascinating. Anyway, lots of social activity, lots of conversation, lots of exchange of ideas, lots of learning new things. Like that's what it is about the, like, I think, yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the aspects it's making. So many sextiles and trine. Sextiles are of the nature of Venus, so they present opportunities or suggestions, and trines are of the nature of Jupiter, so they really bring big gifts and blessings. So this Gemini New Moon, I told you it's sextile, Saturn and Neptune. That's great for new energy, new ideas. The sextile to Saturn shows that there are opportunities right now. There's an opportunity right now for ideas that can withstand the test of time. You know, Saturn, that sextile. It's conjunct its own ruler, Mercury. So again, this is mental clarity. This is sharp thinking. This is new ideas. This is stimulating conversations. This is great social activity. This is connecting with siblings, friends, neighbors, cousins, whatever. And sextile Neptune. So there's an opportunity to, this is great for writing films. This is great for composing music. This is great for painting, for the artists out there. This is great for poetry, for the poets out there. This can be great for like, any kind of writing around healing, medicine, medical writing, but even writing around mysticism or psychic work, any kind of film writing, art writing. All of that kind of stuff is very much supported with the sextile to Neptune. The trine to Pluto. Pluto is, and I should say this about the sextile to Neptune. Neptune and Pluto are the outer slow-moving planets. So these sextiles and trines are showing us a lot about the new era that we're going into and what the energy of this new era looks like. And so this moon is showing us a vibe of the new world, like what it's like, it's this air, fire, and it's like, I told you about the sextile to Neptune, but this trine to Pluto is, this Neptune it's inspired. It's very inspired energy to connect to something bigger than yourself that you believe in this era, whether that be a cause you believe in, art practice, a spiritual practice, a mystical practice, like whatever, something where you're contributing to the world, contributing in a way that's bigger than yourself. There's opportunities to key into what that is for you, because everybody, I think, has something. And I think you can find that in your chart if you're not certain what that is for you. Another great reason to get an astrology reading. But look into your Neptune and placements. And so, but the trine to Pluto I really love, because Pluto, and I talked about this a little bit, but it's like Pluto and Aquarius is about this. Aquarius is all the space travel, the AI, the robots, the drones, the driverless cars, the advances in science and rejuvenation and, cryptocurrency and digital. And this new moon is really showing us over this next 2 weeks, month, 6 months, year, the good side to all of that stuff. There are some advantages. There are a lot of things we're really going to love about the new world too. Everyone is so lamenting the old world, but I think now we're going to have an opportunity to see some things we're going to love more about this new era that we're coming into. And then the next day, I feel like the moon is still in the new moon cycle all the way until it enters Cancer Sunday. Wednesday, sorry. Why did I say Sunday? Wednesday, it enters Cancer. On Tuesday, the 27th, it sextiles Venus and Aries, which is trine Mars and Leo. And so it's, I think that this stimulates great communication between lovers. This can be great communication between, you know, teammates, creative collaborators, you know, exchange of new ideas, great communication, you know, passion, attraction, you know, to the mental connection. Wednesday, it squares the North Node in Pisces, which the North Node it's an invisible point. It's a karmic point. So I guess, boom, we're not all the way out of the shadow for poor Gemini now that I think about it. No, but come on. We made it through. I'm a Gemini rising, so I know. We made it through Saturn and Neptune squares for 12 years. We can get through this North Node square. But the North Node square is a sense of like, there's an edge somewhere, there's a conflict or a challenge requiring us to take action towards our higher purpose, our higher self, a spiritual calling though. It's like we need to step up and do something that's in line with where we are in our spiritual evolution at this point in our life. We can't just like phone it in. It can't just be superficial. And we have to deal with our addictions, you know. Gemini energy, Moon and Sun square Pisces North Node. That Pisces North Node can be very hungry. Pisces always wants to escape the harsh realities of the world and can sometimes find ways of doing that with substances or escaping into other people, food, binge watching, whatever, any of those things. And so that is possible with the Gemini Moon and Sun squaring the North Node. And also it's possible that there's just a crisis of faith, you know, or a slight existential crisis. Like, what is the direction? What is the way? You know, but that's okay. You know, those times are important and those questions are important to ask. I believe in staying very rooted in prayer and meditation during those periods, even though, and just being patient, because if you stay in a steady prayer, daily prayer and meditation ritual, as well as being out in nature on a daily basis, the answers will come to you. Yes, the answers will come. And so, the new moon ruled by Mercury in its domicile. Mercury is also sextile Neptune. And so this is very psychic energy. This is very, again, beautiful opportunities for composing music, writing poetry, film making, painting, also anything to do with healing, medicinal work, spiritual work, religious work, and Mercury is sextile Ceres. So this is good because I think we're learning a lot about food and nutrition and what we're putting in our bodies and how to properly nourish ourselves. And this is happening on like a mass level, which I really love, because certainly in America, we have been eating so unhealthy in this country for so many years, and we have been fed so many lies and myths about what the right kind of eating is, and the country is obese and sick and out of shape and lethargic, and and people are starting to learn. Information is coming out, and I think this is one of, speaking of seeing the advantages of this era of technology and AI and information just always flying around. A lot more people are having access to a lot more knowledge. Yes, of course, there is the danger of people getting access to fake news. Hopefully it won't be as much of a problem now that Neptune has left Pisces, although Neptune will be going again back for the end of this year, so we will have one more huge fake news cycle, it looks like, coming up. But anyway, another story for another video. I'm getting to 30 minutes, so I do want to wrap this up soon. But in general, I think people are learning a lot in very positive ways about food, how to properly nourish themselves, but not just with food, with everything that they're intaking and ingesting into their life. And so, yeah, there's a lot of, and this is evolution that's happening. This is evolutionary progress of how we live in the world, how we relate to each other, how we relate to our environment. Because Mercury is also trine Pluto at the same time, the great transformer. This Pluto trine is very empowering. Knowledge is power. You know, that's Mercury trine Pluto in like Gemini and Aquarius. In a nutshell, that would be an exact translation of that alignment. And it shows access to knowledge. It shows receiving knowledge that is very empowering. It shows learning things that are empowering us and transforming our lives in really positive ways. You know, it shows, you know, in some cases it's doing like deep research. It's deep conversations, or, you know, reading really deep transformative material. Yeah, I love that Mercury Pluto trine. It's a very, very empowering mentally. For some people, it can have to do with really beneficial, powerful connections coming into your life that are going to uplift you in some really beautiful ways. This new moon definitely stimulates the muse in writers and storytellers of any kind. It's great for if you want to write a new book or new screenplay, writing new anything, launching podcasts or YouTube channels or Substacks, launching any social media platform is very supported under this new moon and the cycle. It's a time where people are curious, eager to socialize and network and learn new things, and yeah, it's the birth of new ideas that have the opportunity to stand the test of time because of that sextile to Saturn. And it's a time where we can finally we can interpret the data and the facts clearly. You know, Gemini is the information, it's the data and the facts. But again, with Neptune in Pisces for the past 12 years, there's been this cloudiness or something always obscuring some of the details or all of the details, keeping Gemini kind of cloudy. And then Saturn moved into Pisces for the last 2.5 years. And so then that was kind of blocking Gemini, you know, either obstructing or creating a heaviness, a depression, whatever the Saturn was doing. But all of that is gone. So this is a very liberating time for Geminis and for, you know, Gemini, Sun, Lunar, rising, but also for all of us, whatever house Gemini rules in your chart. The cards, the tarot that respond, you know, and at the same time, Jupiter, the conjunction to Jupiter, good luck, good fortune, good news, you know, great ideas coming forth. Again, generosity of knowledge, generosity of expression, you know, successful collaborations with friends, or, you know, it's just really beautiful, buoyant, light, expressive, social energy that I just really love. Jupiter is coming into the square with the nodes of fate. That sounds like a judge is making a final decision in this cycle. It sounds like, you know, one of those gifts being offered, a huge bit of sacrifice having to be made at the same time, is also Jupiter square the nodes of fate. But I should do a separate video on that because I've talked so long about this new moon in Gemini. I want to say a couple more things. The tarot card, interestingly enough, is the 8 of Swords, which at first glance, it's like, okay, the The Eight of Swords looks like a tough card, and it can be. This is the card that corresponds to the first decan of Gemini in the tarot. And so 6 degrees Gemini, where the new moon is. But I think that this new card, this Eight of Swords, you know, she's trapped. Swords correspond to the element of air, so they have to do with our thoughts, our words, our ideas. This figure in the Eight of Swords is trapped by her own old ideas. When the swords appear downwards in a tarot card, they have to do with old ideas. That's why the Eight of Swords reversed when it comes up in a reading is actually like about liberation, because now the swords are upright when you're reading the card reversed. And I really feel like this card in this case really holds more of the reversed energy just because of the astrology that's going on. It's like Gemini is liberated finally, or the Gemini sector of your chart. And it's like our ideas, our good ideas, have the freedom to breathe and to take flight and to take wind now. You know, we're not being weighed down by the heavy emotions that Saturn in Pisces was squaring the Gemini energy with. We're not being weighed down by the cloudiness or the deception or the confusion that Neptune has been kind of squaring the Gemini energy with for the past, 12 years. And then the Saturn came in with the melancholy or with the blocks or the obstacles for the past 2.5 years. That's all being lifted. So there's there's liberation that's coming forth with this new moon, and the opportunity to write a new narrative, turning around these old ideas. This way is the old narrative. Liberation is the new narrative. We can free ourselves simply by the way we think and the narrative that we use to describe what we're going through, whether it's our entire life story or a particular situation that's going on right now. This new moon empowers us to completely rewrite the narrative and liberate ourselves from the traps of our own minds and words. And then the major arcana card that goes with this is the Lovers. And the Lovers is, yes, at first glance, obviously about love and romance, but it's also about choices and dualities, negotiations, compromise, sometimes opposition, because you always have to consider the reverse meaning of the cards too. And sometimes the Lovers, if they fall out, become opponents or adversaries. The Lovers could be romantic partners, creative collaborators, business partners, best friends. The Lovers is, it's a beautiful card, and at best it has to do with harmony, and it shows Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and God and the archangel blessing them, and sunlight and fertility. But that serpent is there, the tree of knowledge is there. There is a mountain in the background. So there's always that tension built into any relationship, right? There's always that edge, like things have to go well. Like that's why so many relationships don't last. Like it's a continual process of nurturing this garden of the Lovers, and both parties have to be there with each other doing that. And it's a beautiful thing when that happens. And, but relationships are also about negotiation and compromise and integration. And the sign Gemini, it's associated with the Lovers because Gemini is about duality and opposites and having to integrate that, the dark and the light, the good and the bad, and the joy and the pain. All of that is very wrapped up in Gemini. And all of that is wrapped up in the Lovers, because when you go through a relationship with someone, for a relationship to withstand the test of time, it has to be able to withstand all of those different dualities and integrate it into the relationship, the dark and the light, the joy and the pain, the happiness and the sorrow. This is the yin and the yang, the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine. This is the Lovers. This is Gemini. This is so much about what this new moon cycle is about from a tarot perspective. and that particular degree that the new moon is blooming in. So I think that yeah, I said a lot about this new moon. Thank you so much for joining me. My name again is Eliane-Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot reader. Please make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the notification bell and like, comment, share. Helps me in the algorithm, helps me to grow my business and my community, puts me in a position to continue to give these free astrological offerings. And please contact me for a reading. There will be a link in the description. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. I would love to read for you. This is a great time to book an astrological reading. Such an exciting, game-changing year, 2025, 2026. We can look at all of that in your chart. We can pull some cards. And yeah, I know you can be anywhere in the world and you're here with me. I appreciate that. I honor that. I put so much love and attention into these offerings. So thank you so much for receiving it. And yes, if you would like to buy me a coffee or a tea or a croissant to thank me for this offering, I will also put my Venmo in the notes below. And yes, I appreciate you all so much, sending you so much love and joy through this very, kind of the best new moon of the year. Have so much fun this summer cycle, because this is the best of 2025. This lunar cycle and the next one are both, it's good stuff. So have fun, be light, let it go, whatever it is, and enjoy yourselves. Okay, bye.